All right. Thanks for hanging out for the podcast and set. This week, my guest, of course, is Abraham Benrubi.
Good evening. Good evening.
As I was telling you outside, because I'm someone who doesn't know actors' names, and when I heard Abraham Benrubi, I saw the name. I'm like, I'm playing with some Middle Eastern guy.
Yeah.
Like I googled you. I'm like, oh, that guy. He was on ER.
Yeah.
Now
Midwestern.
So
Middle Western. We
Middle
can change
Western.
it. We can change it.
Yeah. What was I thinking? You and I were in the Chicago area around the same time.
Yes, definitely.
I think we're roughly the same age, 50-ish.
Yeah, 50-ish. I'm a little under that, maybe. But, yeah. 46. I'm
You're
not
46.
embarrassed.
You're a kid.
Yeah.
You're a kid.
Yes, a wee
I'm
baby.
I'm 49.
Yeah,
Hang on to those years right now.
I will.
Those are good ones.
Good.
49.
So far, so good. I just turned 46. So.
You turned 46?
Yeah. So
Congratulations.
Thanks. So far, so good.
Now you're on that slope to 50.
Yeah, that's all right.
I always thought about like in each decade, like I loved 28 and 38 and 48, but the nines, 29, 39, 49, just blow to me. It's just like, now it's just you might as well fucking be 50.
Right, exactly. Let's just get it over with.
It's like I'm as old as I can be in my 40s and not be 50.
Yeah,
But I'm looking forward to 50.
Yeah?
Oh yeah, that's just. I mean, just saying it. And it happened each like when I was 30, I was like 30.
30.
And 40, it's like I'm fucking 40.
Yeah.
That's a man.
Yeah.
And 50, that's like, that's now I'm like 50. I think is as old as you get to be, and still be like 50 might surprise you,
Yeah, that's right.
right?
Right. Well, and plus you're like, I'm pretty sure as men we're awarded like a Harley Davidson or a Porsche or something right at 50.
I did not know that. I'm looking forward to that now.
When's your birthday?
It's in February.
Oh, so months away.
Yeah, months away.
Mere months.
I'm enjoying the last months in my 40s. Well, and you said you just turned when?
I did. October 4th, I just turned 46, yeah.
October 4th.
Thanks.
And that makes you what sign?
Libra.
All right. And that's the end of that conversation.
And no astrology for you?
I have no astrology knowledge or interest.
Very good. I won't share my knowledge then. If you're not interested, it's fine.
Oh, do you have?
No. I will say the cool thing about Libra in the zodiacal spectrum is it is the only sign represented by a non-living entity. It's represented by the scales of justice, of balance. Everything else is like a fish or a ram or a lion.
I'm Aquarius. I'm the water bearer.
Yeah, so you're like a dude with a bucket.
I'm a dude carrying water around.
Yeah, a bucket.
Astromely.
That's my favorite sandwich.
Yes.
Astromely.
Now, so you're in Chicago, and did ER shoot in Chicago?
Yeah, every now and then. I grew up in Indianapolis, Indiana, so Chicago was like, Shangri-La to us there in Indy. But ER did shoot in Chicago. About every 6 weeks, they would go for 3 or 4 days and shoot the beautiful cityscapes and exteriors of Chicago.
Right. Yeah, I don't mean to like hang on to like ER.
I don't mind.
I just remember it because the time. I remember watching, and that was like the early '90s, right?
Yeah, 94 to 2008.
All right, so that's like, so ER was happening right at the time, around the time like the team I was on was peaking, which was a team called The Family. And I remember, the only reason I remember ER being around that time, because I remember the two doctors, Clooney and Goose. What was his? I think of his.
I think that's perfect. Clooney and Goose. Goose played Green. Clooney played Ross.
Right. I remember seeing them go into the Second City.
Yes, sure.
A handful of times.
Sure.
Were you doing that sort of thing too back then?
I only went to Chicago with ER, I think only once, and it was a night shoot, and so we landed, went straight to set, shot a baseball game all night, and then they rushed us back to the airport. So I had been to Second City on my own when I was supposed to be attending college. A friend of mine and I had the exact same class schedule, and we lived off campus and had another friend's car, and so that did not contribute to our education. We would drive to campus, find the parking lot full, and be like, "You want to go to Chicago instead and do something more fun?" And so I saw the second. Which what?
Which show did you see? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
The Review?
That's 25 years ago.
Yeah, because I didn't see a lot of them. I actually missed a lot of them, but I remember the first The first one I saw, I don't remember the name of it, but I remember Farley was in it.
Oh yeah.
And Pasquazi and Tim Meadows.
Yeah, Tim Meadows I would have seen.
And Tim O'Malley.
I just remember, I was probably too young to be watching Saturday Night Live in the 70s, but I remember hearing about Second City because of SNL, of course. And it just was a legendary place, and it was one of those pilgrimages you had to make, I think, especially in that time period.
I remember I took, because the first Second City show I went to, I took a girl it was a date. Mm-hmm. And it was a girl that I really had a crush on for all through high school and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I took her to Second City. I remember she, at the time she was working at Wendy's, and I think I picked her up at Wendy's in a limousine, right?
Through the drive-through, right. I hope.
Yeah,
the drive-through
to go to Second City. And I remember in renting the limousine because I was maybe 19 at the time.
How'd you get a limo?
Right? I just used the fucking phone, man. You can get a limo. But at the same time, years later, I learned how to better get a limo because I got a limo, and this guy shows up who's probably 65 and just an asshole. Right? So he's the driver, and I'm like, yeah, I got this bottle of Bailey's because she likes Bailey's. And he's like, no, you can't drink that. He's like, what? He's like, yeah, you can't have that. And basically, there's no tinted windows. This thing never goes up, so it's just him fucking there the whole time.
Now I understand how you got the limo.
Yeah, it was like being chaperoned by some jagoff down to Second City. But I remember we got there and I saw the show, and that was actually when I just seeing that show. I've said it before. I saw Pasquazi do this thing where he played a homeless person who he just did this realistic thing. And I was like, it's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
How'd he do that? He made me think he was a homeless person.
Yeah.
And that's basically when I said, I should try this. And then I took her home.
Yeah.
And that was the only date I ever had with her.
Thank you, Bailey's.
It cost me half of what I had at the time. Yeah, Bailey's. The fuck.
How much Bailey's have you consumed since then?
Since then, occasionally in like a B-52 or something, it's just
somebody slips it
to
you.
Yeah, there's been no Bailey's consumed since then. On the holidays, maybe.
Yeah, sure.
There's a little bit.
But when you're 19 in a limo, that shit works.
No, because you weren't allowed to drink it. Because the driver was just a real fucking jag.
You weren't like sneaking nips when
no, because he never put the visor up. He just sat there looking. But he's checking too. Because he's like, I know there's a bottle back there.
Yeah.
It's funny. I had the bottle, and I had two large, metallic, chalices,
like goblets.
Yeah, goblets. That's what they were. They were goblets to drink the Baileys out of, and the Baileys to drink the Baileys out of, which was warm.
Of course,
because there was no ice. It's like so. It's probably a good thing we didn't drink it. We probably just would have been puking the whole time in the limo.
Were these goblets stolen from your grandmother?
They were definitely from my parents' house, where I lived.
Yeah, of course.
At the time,
19.
I know I was talking to you. Said you played with Dr. God.
Yes. I played with Dr. God, great improv troupe over at IO West here in LA, and good guys. And so I made friendly with those fellas, and they invited me to come be on the show, and I was like, wait, I have to talk to and maybe play with Miles Stroth? And Brian was like, yeah, you'll be fine. He got a pro wrestler to do it. You'll be great. I was like, I don't know what that means. But yeah, those guys are great, and they have their fingers in all kinds of pies now, making films and TV shows, and it's just great to see. We're in an age of show business where you can't just be an actor. You can't just be an improviser. You have to be editor, writer, director,
right,
podcaster, right? It's like you got to add some hyphens nowadays, and those guys are doing that, and it's impressive.
It's always so fun to me because when I hear you say I'm worried about playing with Miles Stroth, I'm just like, oh yeah, the who, right?
But that's not true in the improvisation world. You have a reputation, sir.
I guess I don't. I see that world as being very small.
Well, that's neither here nor there. But but I'm aware of that world, and so thusly your name has crossed my desk.
At the same time, I'll just this guy, I look up his IMBD, IMBD, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, 'cause I saw you in ER. I'm like, oh, I remember him from that. And I'm like, he's done all this. He does the voiceover stuff. Yeah. He's got all kinds of stuff going on. And I'm just like, all right, I better not fuck this up because this guy's a legitimate actor.
You'll be fine. You're good.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll do my best.
Thanks for putting legitimate in there, though. That's good. I like that. Feels good.
I think it's legitimate when. Actually, it's probably unfair because there are a lot of great actors who don't make a living.
That's right.
At acting. That's
most.
That's the unfortunate nature of it. But it's funny. You and I were saying something outside that I was like, we're talking about. I was thinking about long form, right, and how, like, I'm used to it being long.
Yeah, like an hour.
Right.
Yeah.
And what kind of happened out here with the explosion of the indie scene was there's all these shows going up where it's like you get 10 minutes, you get 12 minutes to do a set. And like that's harder to do. And then you said something about the business and how the attention span of people is shorter.
That's right. I mean, you look at YouTube and there's a thing called Vine, which is an app where you get 6 seconds. And man, there are some dudes who can make funny in 6 seconds, and that isn't. I think, is it 6? It's like 12. I don't know, but it's impressive, and it's no small feat. So I think it's all just a matter of people's attention. You know, there's so many different avenues fighting for your entertainment eyeballs and earballs. Earballs? Yeah.
Yes.
I'm going with the earballs.
I like the earballs.
I like that too. So you got to be sharp. You got to practice. You got to hone your craft.
It's funny because like I'm torn on that just because part of me, like there are shows that run much slower than the pace I like to play at, improv shows. And I tend to think, no, I like to move faster because I can get more done. But at the same time, I'm facing the same thing versus like a Vine or stuff on YouTube. A lot of time, it's like, no, I need some time to do a show. At least 20 minutes maybe. Like, nope, they can do it in 6 seconds. I'm like, 6 fucking seconds.
That's crazy.
At the same time, I think there is that. I mean, in 6 seconds, no one's doing. Richard Pryor.
Well, you just hit yourself in the balls, and it's
it's like I do that all the time. That's not
exactly.
I don't need to film that.
But
shit.
An hour of it is too much.
Yes, an hour of that would be. Hello, it's mine. You just loop it.
Yeah.
No, it'd have to be a live shoot. A live shoot is repeatedly punching yourself in the butt and the balls for an hour.
Man.
There's actually, I bet if I Google that, I fucking find it.
You probably would. And that guy's probably got a higher IMDb rating than either of us. The guy with the balls for an hour.
Have you run into that? Like again, saying you're a legitimate professional actor. Have you run into like an agent being like, you need to take some improv, man. You need to get that on your resume.
I wish. I've taken some improv, and I highly recommend it. I think the great thing about improv is what I've found is that I wind up using it in my real life as much as I do in my professional career or in the actual practice of improvisation on a stage. I find that applying the methodology and the lessons that you learn in an improv class or workshop to everyday life have really come in handy. I mean, something as simple as driving in traffic. It's like you're stuck on Santa Monica Boulevard and you could take this right. Yes, and then I will avoid all of the cars that are going to get on the freeway, I mean, it's that simple sometimes.
That's actually, for me, it's ironic just because I'm a very accomplished improviser.
Yes.
But traffic, I use none of my improvisational. Traffic is actually, that's like my angry place. It's like, that's where I'm allowed to basically, there's no one around, it's just me in the car. I don't do dumb shit like chase people or cut people off. Oh, but I curse up a storm.
Sure.
I curse up a storm in the car.
Well, now tomorrow when you get stuck in traffic, you can take the lesson that I've passed along and make that right turn. You might have to go out of your way. I have a friend who...
I'm going to wind up taking a right, go out of my way, and cursing you out the whole fucking time.
That's fine.
Fucking Benrubi!
Yeah, it's his fault. Fucking dead end, man.
Has he ever been here?
That's how you learn the city, Miles.
All right. Actually, do we have any questions? Yes, sir.
Abraham, you seem to be a man of considerable stature. You look like a big, tall guy.
Yes, sir.
How does that affect the way you play on stage and around other actors or improvisers who I'm going to guess are smaller?
Most improvisers are smaller than me. It's true.
Most humans.
Most humans. You know, it can come up. Me being larger than most of the people I'm playing with on stage definitely comes up. I wind up being demons, and you know, if you're playing with a very small person, I might wind up picking them up because that's the nature of giants. But I'm always interested in not letting that dictate what I do, and you know, I don't always succeed, but I try not to be conscious of it. I'd say.
Yeah, no, I think that's absolutely right. It's one of those things you can't. It's like I know that I am not a physically attractive woman.
Not yet,
but I still, I still have fun trying to play that. And it was funny thinking about that because I never thought I wasn't thinking about your size really, just because actually when I saw you struck me. You didn't strike me as tall. I mean, you're like 6'7", right?
6'7".
Yeah, and so that's effing tall. But the thing is, you're 6'7", but you're proportional.
Well, thank you.
No, you know what I mean? Like, I know
you are an attractive woman.
I knew a guy in Chicago named by the name of Rob Goen. I used to call him the Man Mountain, right? And back then he was about 6'8", 500 pounds, right?
Yeah, that's a big.
So he's a big guy, but he was one of those guys who, I mean, he was that big, but his head was big, his hands were big. If you saw a picture of him with no, size thing next to him, you'd be like, oh, that's just, a kind of heavy guy.
Sure.
Right? And that's when I saw you, I was just like, oh, that's just, he doesn't look huge to me. He just looks like a guy. Yeah. As opposed to like if you were 6'7" and sort of really thin, I'd be like, wow, that guy's fucking tall, skinny.
Yeah, there are definitely taller people than me, or people the same height as me. Like a basketball player. Kobe Bryant's the same height as me, but you think of him as being exceptionally tall because A, he plays for the NBA, and B, he's lean. And so that elongates the form.
Right. No. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Because I was like, it's funny. Do you have like giant strength? Do you have giant strength?
Yeah.
Because funny, I used to do a thing with Goen, like in Chicago, they'd play a game of freeze tag, right?
Yeah.
It's like in the Jam or something. And they'd do an object freeze. I want an object. And hey, Rob, throw a full keg of beer on stage, but make it look like it's empty. And so he'd walk on stage with a keg of beer in one hand, and he'd swing it out in front of him and put it down like it was empty.
Right, but it was full.
Oh, it was full.
Oh, yeah.
And then some player would be like, all right, I'm going to, and just can't move it at all.
Yeah, it's like Thor's hammer, right?
That's right. I love the visual and just seeing them be fooled. I remember he also, he used to help around the bar in Chicago, and he'd come out with 2 kegs of beer, one in each hand, and he'd go and he'd lift it with one hand and put it up on the bar. And I'm like, 1, that's amazing. And 2, don't put it on the bar. I can't get it off the bar.
That's great.
Put it under the bar so I can
get a hernia
get it.
that way, though.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to show off. I would also say, I would only add that a lot of times when I see kids play on stage and they're like standing on these cheap wooden cubes, I wouldn't stand on the cheap wooden cube. I'd go right through it. But yeah, so size. That's
a real good move here too, because those are some cheap ass wooden cubes.
I saw in the last lots of fun tonight for those of you that were on stage. Really great stuff. Yeah, and there was a young lady on one of those cubes, and I thought to myself, I couldn't do that. Couldn't stand on that cube. I'd go through.
But standing on that cube, she was probably about as tall as you are.
Yeah. That's about right.
Any other questions?
No? Fine.
No questions?
Fine.
You know everything. You're not curious about anything. No one in the audience has any questions. What's that?
Yeah, I can tell you what's on top of the fridge. Definitely.
What's on top of the
I can
fridge?
put the angel on the Christmas tree. I can reach the hidden stash.
What's that? You were telling me before the show you're working with the theater company here in Los Angeles.
Yeah, I work with I'm a member of a company called Sacred Fools Theater. We put up 5 main stage shows a year. Our next show is coming up in November. It's called Miravel, and it's a jazz story about a love triangle between 2 musicians and a dancer with a live jazz band on stage. We also do a really fun thing that is open to anyone called Serial Killers, and that happens late nights on Saturdays at 11 p.m. And what it is it's a serialized theater death match where 5 segmented plays, 10-minute plays, compete for audience vote. And at the end of the night, the audience votes, and 3 plays live to continue to next week, and 2 plays die. So Serial Killers, and anybody can write for that. Anybody who cares to write, and if you write something, you can certainly bring your own cast, and that's a really fun opportunity for people who are pursuing sketch and writing. Serial Killers at sacredfools.org.
That's great. It's sort of like a different kind of theater's version of like a cage match. Like here are plays, here are short plays that are in competition.
Yeah, and it can be brutal. I mean, people stack the audience, and
that's true in most cage matches.
That's right.
Who has the most friends?
Who has the most friends?
Wins
But
the show.
Then, if you find that that's happening, you write something a little more outrageous, and maybe you steal some votes in that way. And sometimes it's very naughty and debaucherous, and there's boobs.
All right, you just got a lot more people.
That's right.
Interested in seeing Serial Killers Saturday nights at 11
at Sacred Fool.
All right. Anything else you'd like to plug before we get to the set?
I can plug things if you want.
Absolutely.
I have a film coming out in January called The Finest Hours. That is based on the true story of a crazy Coast Guard rescue that happened in the 50s off the Cape Cod, Massachusetts. A Coast Guard boat that's only meant to hold 12 people had to rescue 36 men from a sinking tanker in the middle of a hurricane, and somehow those real American heroes managed to pull it off. So that's out at the end of January, and that's the main thing that's coming. Yeah.
I have no movie coming out in January.
Why not? You should.
Because I'm well known in the improv community.
I have a question, actually. I just grabbed your shoulder, and it made me think of my question. So it's something I've observed in the improv community is that about 90% of the men and about 20% of the women are inclined to wear plaid shirts. So I'm curious if this is something that's been taught amongst the improvers, or
I think I'm not sure. As I imagine it, I think it's part of a trend. I think it's part of that like lumbersexual trend or hipster trend or something.
But it predates that for sure.
Well, actually, to me, it's like I've always worn like jeans, gym shoes, a T-shirt, and a shirt with a collar, be it plaid or not. I've been wearing this one for a few years now. I have like 3 shirts that I wear.
Sure.
Actually, someone a couple weeks ago gave me shit on the podcast, so I wore a Hawaiian shirt the next week.
Which mix it up.
Which is coming back. But I find a shirt that I'm comfortable wearing, and I wear it until it falls apart.
Yeah. So you think it's just a comfort thing? It's not a prerequisite uniform.
Oh no. I always found it just useful as far as like I didn't like playing in a T-shirt. Just because I think a shirt with a collar, at least it implies if I'm playing an authority figure, at least there's a collar there.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't want to play in a suit.
No.
Because if I'm in a suit and I'm playing like a stoner or something, now I don't feel right.
Although these days suits are stoners too.
Yeah, but it would be a very different character than I would be playing. But that's true. It's actually the guys who frightened me. I think of the guys who frightened me the most in my life. I remember being in Chicago and going like to Rush Street and seeing the guys who've been working at the Board of Trade all week. All these white guys, because basically they work at the board, they go to the gym, and then they drink, and they drink hard.
There might be a little cocaine in there.
There might be a little cocaine in there. Oh, those guys were just nuts.
Yeah. Because they're letting that aggression out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I had an older brother who worked at the Board of Trade, and he gave me
He let me work for like a week before I quit. And I was like, I can't get up at fucking 5 in the morning, get down here every day. But I remember being down there and seeing this guy he stood behind another trader. And I forget what that's called, but there's a name for that position.
Called a reach around, I think.
But this guy, apparently he had like 2 traders that he had to listen for. And he was, losing his hair, and not like naturally. He was losing his hair like he's pulling it out.
You're
losing his
watching.
hair.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I was watching. I'm like, it was like watching a heart attack. I'm like, this guy's not going to live to be 30. Apparently, he was making like $250 a year or something. And I was like, yes, buy a nice grave. Because you're not going to live to see fucking 30, dude.
Gosh, it's so crazy, and that's how Wall Street types are always depicted as being in this high stress, and it's a made up system based on nothing.
Oh, you know all the training of it?
Yeah, I mean money. Yeah.
Yes. And on that political